Hi, Tim, the Minnesota firefighter with the ARMM form of melanoma cancer. Time for another update. In October, I visited the Mayo Clinic, had a PET CT. Everything looked really good. We haven't had any indications in the swimsuit area for over a year. In fact, when I was there in October of 19, they used the term complete response. This time, they used the term remission, which they hadn't used that term before. Subsequently, I've come to learn that complete response and remission are often used interchangeably. So I drove down to Mayo on the 13th, had a PET CT first thing in the morning, went in to see the oncologist in the afternoon, fully expecting that the trending was going to continue, that everything was going to be improving. The inguinal lymph nodes aren't showing anything. The subcarnal lymph node in my chest was getting better. Stuff in my neck and my throat looked good. Well, now I had this spot in my face that was showing really active uptake on the PET scan, which was not what I was expecting. It certainly wasn't the news I wanted to hear. Subsequently, we needed to get scheduled for another set of imagery before we got too far down the road of freaking out, which, of course, I did freak out a little bit because I fully intended to have this be the meeting where they go, yep, everything's looking good. Let's discontinue treatment and put you into periodic monitoring. Instead, I found myself needing an MRI with contrast, which they'd like to have done on Thursday the next day, but I was scheduled for another appointment on Thursday afternoon, so we scheduled it for Friday. And Friday turns out to have been a snowstorm with possible blizzard conditions, so I made a request to postpone the MRI, which we got it done on Monday, Martin Luther King Day. So I did go in and had the MRI and the MRI with contrast and had a video consult with the oncologist in the afternoon. And the good news was that they were able to do an MRI of my head, and they found absolutely nothing inside my head. Of which I've had a couple of firefighters tell me that, well, they could have told me that without the contrast. But what he was actually saying is he put up on the screen the MRI imagery, contrasting it with the PET CT, and everything looks normal. So there's a possibility. I had a crown put on one of my upper molars last fall that sometimes flares up a little bit. So that most likely is what we were seeing. So at this stage of the game, I have successfully completed immunotherapy treatment. January 2021 is a big deal for me because 2 years of immunotherapy treatment. We're starting into my third year since the original diagnosis, and we're now going to be doing monitoring. I'm scheduled to go back to Mayo in April for my next PET CT and another consult. My local oncologist, she says, how do you feel about this? And I said, well, what do you mean, how do I feel about this? She said, well, sometimes people get a little bit nervous. You've gotten used to having treatment every month, and you're getting all of these blood draws, and sometimes it's hard to stop cold turkey. And I said, I am ready to stop cold turkey. I'm more than comfortable to go to quarterly monitoring on this as we move forward. So what my local oncologist is going to do, she's scheduling me out 4 months, which gives me time to go to Mayo and have my next PET CT, talk with the oncologist from Mayo, and then that gives my local oncologist a chance to compare notes with Mayo, and we'll see where we're going. So it's, again, there have been phenomenal things happening in the treatment of cancer in melanoma. In fact, some of the research that's going on in treatment of cancer in terms of targeted therapies and immunotherapies have a direct correlation with some of the vaccines that have come out for COVID-19 in terms of being able to use messenger RNA to produce certain immune responses to trigger your body. So we're living in amazing times, and anybody who says we aren't is just not with it. In fact, really neat thing happened yesterday. I had the TV on, and usually we record stuff on a DVR, and then we fast forward through the commercials. And for some reason, we weren't fast forwarding the commercials, and I noticed that, hey, they were advertising Opdivo with Yervoy. It's a revolutionary new treatment. And I didn't even catch what kind of cancers they were talking about, but that's how immunotherapy started with me, Opdivo and Yervoy. And I've been doing Opdivo for almost 2 years, well, a year and 9 months, because the first 3 months was the combination of the two. So we're doing really well, and that's the update for this go round.